is the MSI Prestige 16 Studio, a beautiful laptop from MSI's impressive Prestige lineup. And I've got to say, this might just be about the best laptop that I've ever used for creative content creation. No, scratch that. It is the best laptop I've used for content creation. Now, up front, this is a sponsored video, but just so you're aware, no brand can pay me to promote something that I do not genuinely like, and they cannot pay to influence my opinion. So any opinions I express in a video, sponsored or not, will always be my own. And on top of that, despite this being a sponsored video, I'll also be including some quirks about this laptop that I wish were improved. So hats off to MSI for letting me be completely honest in this video. Regardless, the goal of this video is to not only give you a bit of an overview of the laptop itself, but also to show you how I've been able to use it in my own workflow, and that will hopefully give you a bit of an idea as to whether this laptop might suit your own needs. So let's dive in. Starting with the unboxing experience, and this is a fairly minimal one as far as unboxings go. I mean, the laptop itself comes in this sleek cardboard box, and if we move the laptop out of the way and then remove this next layer of protective cardboard as well, you'll see that we get this quick guide booklet, which I personally will not be needing. And then under this section here, we get the 150 watt power brick and the power cable in separate little plastic bags. And then aside from that, we have the laptop itself, which comes in this plastic sleeve. And then if we open up the laptop, you'll see that there's this protective material to keep the display protected, but that's it. And with the laptop now unboxed, let's start by talking about its design, which is undoubtedly one of its highlight features. That is, if like me, you're into minimalism. It comes in this very clean silver colorway, and the entire thing is made of metal, making it feel super premium and sturdy. The laptop hinge allows you to open it to a near 180-degree angle, which might seem unnecessarily far on the surface. However, if you're someone who likes connecting an external mouse and keyboard to your laptop and then propping the laptop up for better ergonomics, then in that case, being able to tilt the display that far back is actually really, really handy. In terms of ports, on the left-hand side here, the laptop comes equipped with a DC in for charging the laptop, alongside two USB Type-C ports, both of which are USB 3.2 Gen 2. And whilst this one here on the left does also support power delivery, that only works if you use it with a 100-watt charger exactly. Yep, not even my 65-watt charger works, and apparently even if you go over 100 watts, it still won't work. You need a 100-watt charger exactly. So if you plan on picking this laptop up, just keep that in mind. I actually went ahead and purchased this 120-watt charger that supports 100-watt power delivery from a brand called Xyron on Amazon, which works well. So if you are looking for one that works, I'll leave this one linked down in the description below. But then on the other side, we have a full-sized HDMI port, one USB 3.2 Type-A port, a micro SD card reader, and a headphone jack. So lots of selection in terms of ports. However, I will say, whilst the micro SD card reader is really nice to have for content creators, part of me kind of wishes that MSI had squeezed a full-sized SD card slot here instead, but the micro SD card slot is still absolutely better than nothing. Oh, and I will also add, back on the other side of the laptop, you may have noticed this little switch here, and that is actually a really cool addition to this laptop, which actually lets you physically disconnect the webcam and completely turn it off. So for anyone particularly concerned with privacy, having this physical switch here is definitely very handy. That being said, I actually had no clue about this switch when I first started using this laptop, and it was switched on by default. And it actually took me hours of research to figure out why my webcam wasn't working. So just keep that in mind. If you want to use the webcam, then you need to ensure that that switch is off. Aside from that, we have a really nice full-sized keyboard here, which feels really solid to type with. And the laptop also has this huge trackpad, which is also really nice and responsive. We also get a built-in fingerprint sensor, which makes logging in with Windows Hello an absolute breeze, but I tend to find myself using facial recognition to sign in instead, which is even faster. And then we have the display, and man, this thing is beautiful. As the name indicates, it is a 16-inch panel with a QHD plus resolution of 2560 by 1600 pixels. And whilst you can get sharper displays on other panels with higher resolutions, this one is plenty sharp enough, and I have zero complaints, even when using it right alongside my 5K ultra-wide monitor. But then on top of that, this display actually goes all the way up to 165 Hz in terms of its refresh rate. And this is the first time that I've ever used a display that fast on any device. And man, it is seriously buttery smooth. My only complaint with it though is that you can only alternate between 165 Hz and 60 Hz. And given that you do see a fair amount of battery drain when the 165 Hz mode is enabled, it would have been nice for there to have been a couple of other options like a 90 Hz and a 120 Hz mode, for example, to find a better balance between fluidity and battery performance. Aside from that, it is a mini LED panel. It's also VESA Display HDR 1000 certified, meaning it has a peak brightness of 1000 lux, and it also covers 100% of the DCI P3 color gamut, which all in all means whilst it's not necessarily the sharpest or brightest display in terms of laptops, it's still very, very good nonetheless, particularly when you consider its price. And while we're talking specs, let's just quickly cover the rest of the internals. So the version I got comes equipped with Intel's 13th gen i7 processor, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 laptop GPU, as well as 32GB of DDR5 RAM. It also comes with a 2TB Gen 4 SSD, and I gotta say, in terms of performance, this thing packs a serious punch. I mean, up to now, I've never had any luck with any laptop holding its own against my MSI Creator PC, which is seriously powerful despite its small form factor. But after doing a couple of video export tests, the results were kind of shocking to me. So using Adobe Premiere Pro, I created a relatively simple 10-minute sequence with a bunch of different 4K clips on the timeline, some black anamorphic overlay bars on the top and bottom, and an adjustment layer with a fairly simple color grade applied, including a LUT and some small corrections. And whilst my MSI PC exported that in a breezy 4 minutes and 9 seconds, the MSI laptop managed to hold its own and exported it in 7 minutes and 3 seconds. And I was absolutely not expecting that sort of speed from this laptop. I'm used to these sorts of machines spitting out similar sized exports in over 40 minutes. And I was so shocked that I created a new sequence, this time with a colored background added, a bit of text, a drop shadow and transform effect added to every single clip. And that 10-minute sequence, which took 4 minutes and 8 seconds to export on the MSI PC, still only took 7 minutes and 56 seconds on the MSI Prestige Studio laptop. So then I said, well, I've come this far, I may as well do a test with a real project. And so I took my latest iPhone 15 Pro review, which is a near 14-minute project with hundreds of 4K clips and effects used throughout. I exported that on both machines, and whilst my MSI desktop machine exported it in 12 minutes and 54 seconds, the MSI Prestige laptop exported it in a really, really impressive 14 minutes and 37 seconds. So even closer than the previous tests. And mind you, this was on a real project of mine. And so whilst the PC was still, of course, faster, those sorts of speeds from the MSI Prestige laptop means it is genuinely a laptop I could see myself using to edit full-on video projects whenever I'm away from the office. I will also add, just recently there was a power outage in my area that meant my main editing PC went out of action whilst I was in the middle of working on my latest wallpaper pack in Photoshop. And man, thanks to that beautifully big display, after I hooked up the same Bluetooth mouse and keyboard I've been using with my desktop PC, and thanks to the fact that my work was stored on an external SSD, I was able to crack on working with almost no interruption, and the experience felt pretty much the exact same as when I was using my desktop machine. Now, real quick, in terms of battery, the laptop comes equipped with an 82 watt-hour battery with fast charge technology support. And whilst I wouldn't say this is any sort of groundbreaking battery, you will still need to charge it every single day, and even more so if you're a heavy user. It's still definitely on par or even better than other laptops in this similar price range. Aside from that, the laptop ships with the latest version of Windows 11, which I've got to say I am a big fan of. But then on top of that, this laptop also comes with a bit of software called MSI Center, which gives you a bunch of options that allow you to adjust how the laptop performs. You get this user scenario section, which allows you to adjust whether the laptop should prioritize the best performance, the best battery life, or a balance between the two. And there's even this silent mode should you be using the laptop in a quiet area with others around. Or alternatively, you can also set it to this AI-based smart auto mode, which will let the computer change the settings automatically depending on how you're using it. There's a bunch of other features as well, like changing how the battery charges to extend its lifespan, or you can even dive in and test the computer's hardware, should that be something that you're interested in doing. But it's definitely a handy bit of software that offers some pretty great flexibility. And so with all of that being said, I actually find this to be a really great companion to my main editing MSI PC. And if you're in the market for a laptop at about this price range, then this is definitely one to look into. Now, as a reminder, this is a sponsored video, so of course, take that into consideration, but I genuinely do like this laptop and can happily recommend it to anyone looking to get a laptop for any sort of creative content work. If you want to learn more about it, then I've left a link down in the description below. But aside from that, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you to MSI for supporting the channel, and I will catch you later.